Okay, everyone, here we are with Game 4 between Unica and DogSlinger here in the MSL Code A SemiFinals. Here we are on Newkirk District for this exciting Game 4. Remember, DogSlinger went up very quick in the 2-0 lead, and then Unica fought back very well on Neoplanet S to bring the series back and prevent himself from falling out of the tournament. And here we are again. So the bottom left-hand corner, we do have the red Protoss now. They keep changing their colors. This is, of course, DogSlinger down here in the bottom left-hand corner of Newkirk District. And his opponent right here in the bottom right-hand corner is, of course, the pink Zerg Unica. The important thing here is that Unica always chooses the same color and DogSlinger keeps changing. And watch out. Swap players, the world makes sense. Okay, we're good. Hate to see that. My mistake. But yeah, changing the colors on me all the time makes this very difficult, in my opinion. So pro tip, if you'd like to appear as a pro player, always change your colors to the same color in the same series at least. Don't care if you choose a different color for the next series. You don't have to have like a color that's yours. Ooh, very early scout. I need to make sure there's not any sort of cheese. And also much better building placement. This actually is an almost correct building placement. It's hard to tell actually, but it looks much closer. It might be one cell back, but either way a Cybercore could go right about here and have a smaller gap than we previously seen. So I'm pretty excited about that. Do have the expansion going down. That looks like a, was that a 16 pool or a 15 pool? Probably a 15 pool. So I'm terrible at watching that. Here we go. We do have this drone trying to be super annoying. Yeah, it's one cell off. If you could just take this whole thing and just move it right up right there, you'd be perfect. Newkirk District is another map that you don't see very often. You do see it some. This is actually the map that Bomber nuked himself. For those that don't know about it, you should look that up. It's a very exciting game between Bomber and someone that was a Zerg. I can't actually recall who it was. But more importantly, it was a very long, like an hour-long ZVT, and Bomber actually walked his army through his own nuke while it was falling and lost like half of it. So it's an aptly named Bomber nuke. It's very similar to an Artosis pylon, which is one of these, where you have only one pylon powering a whole bunch of very important buildings. It's not so bad right now. It's fine to have two buildings on one, but I'm talking about like a one pylon here surrounded by like 86 gateways. That's totally an Artosis pylon. And also similar to the Manor buildings, which another famous player, Manor, built himself a building that was very much in the way of what needed to happen. And so you do a Manor pylon block, a Manor spawning pool. If you ever hear anyone say it's a Manor this, like if this spawning pool was right here, that would be called a Manor spawning pool. So, once again, just a little bit of Starcraft history for all of you folks out there that love to watch nerds fight in virtual reality. Because, let's be honest, I do. Really ugly overlords, just wanted to point that out, as if they weren't already ugly enough. DogSlinger here, not quite able to get that Overlord. That's got to be disappointing for that Stalker. Wishing that he had some sort of a digital zoom, perhaps, on his photon weaponry. Maybe only have optical zoom. Not entirely sure what the Protoss would do there. And back home behind this, we do have, I'd like to point out, this is a little bit, actually it's very similar to the way that Game 2 was played. But the difference is that Unica does not have to go quite up against this 4-gate exactly yet. It's the same build. That gate's not quite done. This pylon is closer. And so this is actually the exact same build and the exact same setup as Fast Expand. The difference here is that there are 10 lings coming out from Unica. And so Unica should be able to defend this much more easily. He does have 2 queens here. He needs to continue to transfuse this if he can. Where are the links? The extra links should be coming here. This spine crawler will in fact fall, but now with those links here and these queens, I feel like he should be able to defend. He is now actually continuing to produce right here. He does not have cannons in his main, saving that money. And it looks like here Unica actually defending this quite well. He has lots of very low health lings, but he still has the 2 queens. He has another spine crawler in production. and it looks like he should be able to handle this. Is there another spine crawler going down in here? No, there is in fact not. All the drones are being called to fight. And more warp-ins by his opponent. This is a much more aggressive version, and Unica was more prepared, but he's still not quite able to defend it. A few more lings coming, another queen coming to help defend. But excellent kiting going on from DogSlinger. Look at the current APM from both of these players. 265 out of Unica. Excellent news here. The hatchery here actually taking quite a bit of damage, but allowing it to soak up damage and save time for all these other units. That queen will go down if it is not focus fired. It does, in fact, go down 12 more lings in production, though. In terms of economy, who has the lead? It's exactly tied in the economy. They keep trading actually very evenly in terms of units. Unica has, in fact, lost much more resources. However, DogSlinger's not able to really make much progress here. Actually, this hatchery might go down. He does throw down the transfuse. Will he get it? Pushing him completely back with the lings and the drones. He's able to finally shove them back a little bit more. He's not, I think, going to be able to take it. He needs to make sure that that hatchery does not take any more damage or he will fall behind substantially. And looking here, we do have these very low health queens continuing to help. These queens are now sacrificial. They're not going to be able to get anywhere close, but it looks like now this will finally be able to be cleaned up. These are hero drones. That one had 1 kill. Oh yeah, look at that. More than 1 drone with with at least 1 kill, and this hatchery did not go down. It was a very gutsy move, and still more zealots here. Zealots here, of course, much better against zerglings, but with the numbers, they're not going to be able to deal much damage here, and this will get completely cleaned up. The army size is very much in the favor of Unica at this point in time. I don't like this choice right now. He needs to build units, and not... He should have been expanding behind this and not choosing to build all the tech right as everything died, because right now this is vulnerable, whereas while he was attacking and was not actually building more units here, when those stalkers were dancing back and forth in this whole area, that was the appropriate time to expand. And now Unica, noting that he did in fact defend that, and that army was pretty much crushed, he should be safe for a while and is going to expand. That's another excellent move here. He is going to go scout the natural of his opponent, and he will be able to identify that there's stuff here, but he will not be able to do much damage. He will get into the main, but given the proximity of the lings, of the zealots and the mothership core, he shouldn't get too much done. Ooh, surround. A lot more drones going to go down than they should have actually. Mineral walking there probably would have saved him a few. However, only 1 actually killed. So excellent news. There was just a few very low ones. So excellent job there. I'm actually really surprised that the probes are able to take them that much. I actually would have myself, I think, spam clicked on this like 85 million times to put all the workers down into 1 exact mineral field. Makes it much harder to get a lot of surface area on them, but that takes a little bit more APM at times. An average 113. Everyone's really cruising in this game. Everyone's bringing their A game as we are 2-1 DogSlinger. DogSlinger was not able to use that 4-gate to finally bring the game to a close, although it did come quite close. This hatchery is still very close to dying, and the units lost tab clearly shows that Unica is still sadly ahead in the units lost. But you look in terms of workers, he has been macroing quite hard. There is an engagement here. It looks like these zerglings here will not be able to clean up this, especially with the addition of that mothership core and those few zealots, and they will be shoved back. But behind this, remember, Unica's really been macroing quite hard. I mean, 55 drones to 44. They were even during the fight. He's got another base up and running. He does have those second 2 gas geysers. He is continuing to get... he actually could do better on the creep spread, as that will actually be very important as the game goes forward. There is a proxy pylon here by DogSlinger. Excellent job there. Also, we do have that charge going down. It looks very similar to the build. This seems to be... exactly DogSlinger style, to do Twilight Council and then 2 robotics facilities and then perhaps a Templar Archives. And just 1 forge chrono boosting out upgrades the entire game. Not a bad way to go. Unica is going to be supply blocked here in a little bit. DogSlinger, however, completely not supply blocked. And he has now caught up a little bit. I was just about to say he's caught up in drones, but another wave of drones hits from DogSlinger, or from getting all my tang tangled. Unica is, of course, the one with drones. And he's able to catch back up and quickly and easily surpass his opponent. We do have 7 more. He's macroing super hard and actually used a lot of them to build things in the meantime. So, also lots of queens. Something you don't generally see from Zerg players, although when you do, it is quite amazing because queens are a really interesting unit. They have an attack, but it's really low. They do 4 attack twice, which means that against anything with high armor, they basically just flail away and do nothing. We do have another run by here. The Zergling's going to attempt to get in, but instead, seeing that there is no way they're going to make it in, and all but 3 lose their lives in that attempt. Interesting choice there. But yeah, the queens, what they end up doing is they sit here and accumulate lots of energy. What they should be doing is pooping out creep tumors all over the place and allowing this this area, that gives you map vision, and then it also gives you a speed advantage and allows your lings to be much more deadly. Particularly things like Hydras and Broodlings, actually, as well. And what this also does is transfuse, gives 125 life to anything that they choose. And when you get up to Ultras or Broodlords, some of those big, heavy units, you can keep your units alive for almost forever, literally, if you have enough queens with enough energy. You just transfuse, 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 transfuse. And now your army becomes almost invisible. But we have a really big engagement here from DogSlinger. Look at the transfuses going down on that queen. It looks like they're not quite going to be able to attack right here. There's a lot more spine crawlers in production, and there's a whole bunch more off to the side. So they might be able to take out these ones here, but I'm really hesitant to see if they will actually be able to get much done. More transfuses going down, but there's just not enough units out from Unica right now. He was macroing too hard. He was perhaps over-droning. He's going to use those drones instead to fight Zealots, putting out lots of damage before they go down. And these Hydras here should be able to help clean things up, particularly with these queens, to help continue doing all of those transfuses. Missed a transfuse on a Hydra, but I think either way he will be able to push this back. And he has restabilized. His drone lead has evaporated, though. And look at that, 22 workers killed by DogSlinger. A lot of them in that engagement. Some of them did not have the opportunity to fully pay for themselves, although he's obviously still doing pretty well for himself. Another few stalkers have been warped in, are going to be eviscerated by these Hydralisks, shooting spikes out of their mandibles. And the upgrades, in fact, coming down. Excellent choice. Finally having enough money to do that. Taking another expansion. And he is still behind in terms of upgrades. However, his army size is much larger. So outmassing your opponent instead of out-teching and out-upgrading your opponent is a totally acceptable way to play. In fact, there's been some really exciting games that I've seen where that has indeed been the case. We do have another proxy pylon going down. Wow, do we have more drones in production? No, but we do have more swarm hosts. And I feel like you never have games with enough swarm hosts. One Hydralisk doing very good. Look at that. There's a spike. You can see it right over here. Also taking out those rocks, enabling himself for another base. The army size here is actually continuing to close a little bit. Army supply is actually still larger for his opponent. This base will probably go down immediately. There's not near enough here to reinforce it. These swarm hosts need to be burrowed right out here somewhere. This base looks like it is, in fact, going to go down. All of these drones actually not being pulled. Okay, finally being pulled. He's going to sacrifice that. More drones being lost, up to 33 drones. However, now this big engagement here, this is a little bit awkward. The locust here behind the Hydra is totally less than ideal. Another fungal growth. Excellent choice there. And the locust will be able to do a lot of damage there. And however, another warp in here. The Hydras are surround. If you can continue to... Good transfuses, keeping some of those Hydras alive, and allows him to save that base. Although, remember, he did lose quite a number of workers. He is, in fact, down on workers. But he is up on bases and has the ability to produce. And look at all of these proxy pylons. They've been all over the map. They've been down here. They've been up here. They've been down here. They've been up here. I mean, it's just a really good job from DogSlinger continuing to keep up on that. And now he does that Dark Shrine going down. Remember, he has really favored the Dark Shrine. Also, there is that Templar Archives, just like we were talking about before. And the difference here is he even has built the Stargate. The Stargate, of course, was the only tech building that he did not build other than the fleet beacon previously, and now he's repented of that and is indeed using every single unit that there is available to him. The army size here is really, really in favor of Unica. The upgrades are actually still in favor. Actually, they're almost equal. We have +2 weapons from DogSlinger, but only +1/+1 with +2/+2 on the way for DogSlinger. So, for Unica. My mistake. Getting many things confused tonight. I apologize. We do have some Void Rays coming out. We do have queued up upgrades. We do have some creep that will continue to expand. Really want to see these bases connect. And also start some creep this direction as well. You should be able to see that one here. Also, didn't notice that before. If you can see the little bubbles on top of a swarm host, that means they are ready to spawn some more locusts. Cool thing here, and so many cannons. If I can say one thing about DogSlinger, I would say all the tech, Dark Templar, and cannons. That's his thing. Oh, these locusts should be doing something. Remember, free units should always be doing something to kill non-free units. He is, however, going to retreat. I think that's probably a wise decision. Getting back on creep is really an important thing for swarm hosts. He is going to advance his spine crawlers all the way to the front. Oh, there's got to be careful of this potential swing around from DogSlinger. However, his army supply is so much superior. His worker count is actually almost the same. Excellent macro on both sides, I must say. You don't oftentimes see 81 to 77 workers, and they are both still producing, well, Unica is still producing additional drones. Okay, we do have an engagement coming up here. The Hydras, I think, are going to be able to repel them. There is an Overseer there, so swarm hosts can be very, very vulnerable here. Yeah, this is how you do it. You got to slowly creep up in siege. Some more spine crawlers because of all of those things. We do have the Enduring Locust upgrade going down. This is because locusts are ridiculously faster on creep and then very slow off of creep. So Enduring Locust upgrade actually allows them to have longer range, and so does creep. So the free units versus the paid units, they kill a High Templar. That's quite an important thing. Fungal growth. Needs a fungal growth. Fungal growth. Infestor goes down with full energy. That was a big blunder. He did get a fungal down, but that's not going to be that big of a win. And now, remember, he needs to keep using these swarm hosts. He needs to keep accumulating more of them. I don't know where they're being spawned. He does have some army units kind of all over the place. He's got a little bit scattered about. But both of these players playing to their tip-top, very most best. That's right. Check out that English. Another base for Unica. He is now maxed. He's going to start trading some of these less expensive units, which, to be completely honest, he mostly has expensive units, although there still are some lings on the map. And another thing that you can start to do is you can start building more and more spine crawlers. Really sad to see these locusts not being used to do some more damage, because they do get those upgrades that have been done. Zerg flyer attacks. We don't have anything in production. We do have some extra. Interesting to see some Phoenix in production, and there is now finally a robotics bay from DogSlinger, trying to get some big AoE damage on there. I'm surprised he's not actually using Templar to do a little bit more storm, although those kept getting sniped, so perhaps he feels he's not able to do so. And now this swarm host army is actually getting quite close and quite deadly, especially with the number of queens here. Needs to get a little bit more of his army together. There's a whole bunch more swarm hosts here. There's some unburrowed things, some drones and stuff scattered about. We do have an engagement here. This is going to go poorly for Unica in this small of a choke. Everything is off of creep. The infestors are going to get big storm. The High Templar are able to do lots and lots of damage, and right on top of the Hydras, which are very fragile. So it looks like, though, the Locust will be able to come out and push those units back, not wanting to do any sort of trade with free units, although, once again, free units versus paid units. Even when they lose, they tie. So continuous swarms of free units will get the job done if they even do anything. The Phoenix is here an interesting choice. There's no air units here. All they'd be able to do is pick things up. This few set of Storm hosts, we're going to go down quickly. The Storm going down, excellent location, doing lots of damage. Enough Hydras here that they're going to be a big problem, though, for these Immortals. The Immortals here, once again, not very good against Hydras, all things considered. Now, there is a huge influx of units coming in from Unica, and now the cooldown is almost done for these Swarm hosts, and now those Swarm hosts will push back all of those very expensive units that are actually getting stuck in the choke. 4 Immortals going down, that's quite pricey. Kind of a big mistake. The creep continuing forward, more infestors coming forward, more fungal growths, really sectioning off these units, and with the no Colossi and no AoE here, this is actually causing quite a bit of a problem. I actually don't know where in the world did his Mothership Core go. There is no Mothership Core. The Mothership Core could have been used to cast Planetary Nexus, is the short phase. It's Photon Overcharge, 13 range, 20 damage attack that lasts for a minute. That would help out substantially here. However, I think that he's going to be forced to sack this base just from Locusts alone. Not this wave, but perhaps the next one. And also, there's just not enough Gateway units on the field. There are 2 Colossi in production, but I think at this point the game is going to be a little bit too late. The Infestor count is quite high. We have +3/+3 going down. Thermal Lance is going to take forever to get done. +2 armor is going down, but remember, all of these engagements, those hit points are just not going to come back like these free Locusts will. So he really needs to engage in a better area. This is just not good. The other units have the choke on him. Because of that, it will make his life sad. Drones coming forward and turning themselves into spine crawlers. 17 Swarm hosts. Really interesting play here from Unica. The Colossi here finally able to come and help out a little bit, but now with the army so gone, they're not going to be able to get very much done, in my opinion. It's taking too long to kill them, and there's not enough supporting army. The Colossi are doing lots of damage, but just look at the number of Locusts there, no matter how clumped up they are, and now the Abducts from the Vipers. Those Colossi go bye-bye, and it looks like Unica is going to perhaps take this to a 2-2 setting here in this Code S semifinals. Or Code S, this is Code A. My mistake. You have to play a little bit longer to get there. Invisible units get detected by highly advanced, really weird-looking guns, getting surrounded by really ugly beach balls. Back in Wings of Liberty, they were green and looked like a beach ball. It does look like this Nexus is going to fall. There are some more High Templar. He's got to get something out that can damage these Swarm hosts. But with this many Vipers above, I don't actually feel that there's much he's going to be able to do. He has taken another base. He does have a decent number of workers, but a lot of them fell down here. And not sure what he's going to be able to do. You know, actually, what might be a good idea here, a whole bunch of Void Rays actually would have done quite well, as there's almost nothing that can shoot up. Manor, no, actually, those are not Manor evolution chambers. What those are to get more energy on those those Vipers. The Phoenix there going to do a little bit of damage while getting shot at simultaneously, and I think that the Spore Crawler will win. The Viper does not, in fact, go down. It's a little bit sad. We do have some workers hanging around not being used that should be sent up here to mine. We do have another engagement here, but these Immortals just not able to get much done. The Dark Templar here able to get a little bit done, though. Remember, Fungal Growth can, in fact, reveal cloaked units. So, tidbit for those of you that did not know, but the Dark Templar here do, in fact, have some detection to worry about, and instead will be taken out here pretty quickly, even though just by infestors, which is a little bit embarrassing. You got taken out by fungal growths. Like, that's like having a really, really bad athlete's foot. Surprised a little bit, there's no base here yet. We do have a counterattack. It's an excellent move. There is some detection here, but that can be taken down. All the DPS can be taken out by these units. However, I feel like this is a little bit too little too late. The Building Killer Squad is what we'd call this. Remember, Immortals having an absurd amount of damage to buildings. And nothing here to detect. These DTs are still doing more. They should fall to these Hydras had the Hydras not been intercepted by Dark Templar, the invisible ninjas of the Starcraft universe. This base will go down, but once again, there's just nothing here. I feel like DogSlinger could take this opportunity to a little bit of damage here because there's no supporting units. However, now these units are being pursued. They will be taken out. And, yeah, I really feel like these Colossi here could come up and do something. If there is any units here, however, there is not. Instead, they will retreat all the way. And this Immortal in the back, 34 kills. He was, in fact, immortal. He disappears. I don't know where you go after you die when you're an Immortal. Not quite sure. If you're a Zealot, your future used to be quite clear. Now I'm not as sure. Dark Templar now can come back as Stalkers, I do believe. And old Dragoons can come back as Immortals, if I'm not mistaken. We have some more Locusts coming up here. Once again, every single one of these that goes down is just not going to be replaced, and it's being replaced, it's being attacked by free units. It's got to be very demoralizing at this point in time. There are 2 Colossi here, but once again, popping out right when there is another swarm of Locusts is just not going to work out well. Dark Templar taking a little bit of a beating, not able to get enough done, and those are very pricey units. The Immortal here going to take the stand for the Colossi. I just feel like once the rest of the army here gets in front, there's not going to be anything the DogSlinger will be able to do to stay in this game. He does have this other base up here mining, and I don't believe that his opponent knows anything about that. And I will say that this series has been extremely long so far. All the games going to 30+ minutes, and so far we're at 4 games. That Immortal vaporizing, the Dark Templar here are going to get some done, and they will save that Colossi. But once again, the Enduring Locust means you don't have any time in between, and now the Colossi get simply incinerated. Or whatever the Zerg version of that is. All of those going down. And it looks like 150 supply down. A very exciting start of the game with a 4-gate, but look at the creep spread, look at the number of bases. I do believe that Unica has this one in the bag, and now we're going to be up match point any given moment. So, interesting move there. Really interesting play from both styles. We've seen some different stuff out of Unica each time. Perhaps this is where he was going to go each time, however he was prevented so by the fact that DogSlinger was very aggressive and was able to get in his face and kind of prevent him from ever reaching to that point. Remember, Unica doing some really good, exciting aggression against, defending of this base here. This base still has not recovered all of its hit points in a 38-minute game. That tells you how slowly they regen, which is a little bit ridiculous. But the 4-gate did not, in fact, work, and it was an even more intense 4-gate than before. So props to him there. He definitely deserves this one. Unless by some miracle all the Overseers commit suicide, and then some Dark Templar can go ahead and win this game for him. I just don't know if there's anything that he can do. There are some, once again, that trio of Dark Templars. Going to go ahead. Let's watch them, see what they do. There is a huge engagement here, a whole bunch of probes going. And the Dark Templar just going to move off screen. The Locusts here continuing to be a huge problem. Where are these Hydras? The Hydras are going to go and track down those 3 Dark Templar. But the Dark Templar, look at the DPS. The Stalkers at the beginning of the game could not take it down, and at the very end of the game, 3 Dark Templar take it out in about half the time. That goes to tell you a little bit about the strengths of Dark Templar. If I've said before that Zealots are like kind of like people with lightsabers for hands, so kind of like that. Dark Templar are invisible Darth Mauls then, because they have staves. They do a little cool, like little scythe action, but with psionic energy emanating from it, which makes it much more scary. Good cancel there. Going to save a little bit of that money as every penny becomes increasingly important at this point in time. There's not actually a big bank for DogSlinger. It looks like these Zealots here are going to come and do the good fight, but they get fungal growth and just have to stand there while they get shot to death by needles from the mandibles of a really ugly alien. A whole bunch of ugly beach balls and infested Terrans coming down, a whole bunch more Hydras that have come out. This base, I think, will go down, and I think after that we will see DogSlinger GG, as there's no money. And another well played. So, we're now up to match point. We'll be excited to see how this game